Hi Aries, welcome to your new moon reading. This new moon reading is special because it is not just the first new moon in Aries, but it is also the new lunar year for the Hebrews. It starts the month of Nisan, which is also the beginning of Passover. And Passover and Nisan are a season of miracles. If you're not familiar with Judaism, this is the time when the Jews left Egypt. And it is a beginning of a series of miracles. The first miracle being probably that the Pharaoh let the Jews leave. There was a series of negotiations that are pretty nonsensical. The story goes that the Pharaoh had his heart hardened over a series of events in his own life, a series of decisions that he had made. And one of the lessons of Passover is to not let that happen to you. So, with that said, this reading I think will bring you some very special messages. And I think that if you can allow them into your life, you can begin to look for opportunities to create, manifest, or allow for the possibility that miracles can be in your life and can come into your life. Now, just to tell you a little bit about Kabbalistic teachings about astrology, Kabbalah is the mysticism of Judaism, and they assign their lunar year, of course, the same way that that astrologers do, right? With the sun entering Aries. As far as the actual symbols go, they use the tribes of Israel, and they use them based on the name of the head of each tribe, where they were seated around the tabernacle. Now, the tribe of Judah was seated in the most important position, right here in the center in the eastern camp. Now, the symbol of the tribe of Judah is a lion on a blue background. A lot of people get this wrong and assume that because the symbol is a lion, therefore the tribe of Judah must be Leo. It's actually incorrect. The tribe of Judah is actually the most important and represents the first month of the year, and as such, because they are a lunar calendar follower, it is actually Nisan. Nisan occurs in Aries season. The Jews actually also follow the solar year, and clearly Leo would not kick off the solar new year because there is no such thing. So just a little bit of trivia, I guess. So let's get into the reading. Today, for you, I have chosen a deck that I really like. It's kind of neat. It's called the Healing Light Tarot. It uses computer graphics, and I think it's pretty exciting. To me, it is pretty fiery. It also represents each of the four elements really passionately, I think, and in a way that I think a war-loving, war being could connect to. And when I say war, I don't mean drag down, kick out, fighting kind of way. I mean any kind of war, a war between two choices, a war of the heart, war of passion. These could be internal struggles, they could be external struggles, interpersonal struggles. But I do think these cards will be something that someone of the Aries persuasion, someone who's trying to get into that mindset and connect to the lessons of Aries and the lessons of the Aries season, which of course is spring, is making things happen, getting ready for the summertime, preparing for the heat and later the harvest. Could connect to. I think you'll like this deck. This morning I did a sunset reading, and I did use a completely different deck. But I also feel like these two decks are related in a way. The other deck that I did was the Night Sun deck. And I may end up using that one for clarification. We'll see. We'll see if I need that. Right. 5 of Cups. Wow. 4 of Cups. 4 of Pentacles. 9 of Swords. 8 of Swords. King of Swords. Good gracious. I think I'm gonna have to stop there. It's really intense. Wow. Let's see what's going on for you, Aries. So, with the 5 of Cups, what we have here is someone who is not able to move on emotionally. Let's see if this can focus. Please focus. Huh. This is not looking good for me. Does it look good for you? Maybe not. So not moving on emotionally. This figure is a male figure. Doesn't mean that you're a male, but it means that there is masculine energy in this card and in this deck. In fact, all of these figures except for the 8 of Swords are masculine here. So not being able to move on, being stuck, not particularly emotionally, but in this card what I like is that there is a beacon. You can see that there's this tower and there's a star behind the tower. So there is something shining and you're simply not lifting up your head. You're just not ready to look at it. It doesn't mean that you can't. It doesn't mean you don't know that it's there, but it does mean that that you're just not ready to move on. You're just not willing it. The nice thing about the 5 of Cups cards, in almost all cases and all decks, is there's a couple of cups that are standing upright. Here we've got those 2 cups. Those 2 cups are full. But the problem is that we're looking at the 3 that are turned over, turned to the side, emptied out, poured out. And looking at this image, he's sitting in the water, or there's a shadow above the water. And there's a lesson that this card reminds me of, and it's this statement from Buddhism that says, you never step in the same river twice, which can be interpreted 2 ways. One is that the water's always changing, so the water moves the rocks around. The water's always different itself, so you're never able to step into the same water twice. And the other way that you can interpret it is, of course, that you're always changing yourself. So when you step into the water, you're never the same. And of course, there's a third way, which is that nothing is ever the same. So something to think about if you're having a hard time moving on. is that things are always changing. Now, this is interesting because we have this Four of Cups, and the Four of Cups chronologically comes before the Five of Cups, of course. And we have this figure sitting up straight, looking backwards, right? Before being just absolutely bent over, refusing to move on. All right, so here's that Four of Cups. And this is the Four of Cups refusing to let go. That's really what this message is, right? Sitting on these three, and here's this fourth, not letting go, not giving up, just absolutely staying put. And, you know, that can be a good thing. That can be enjoying what you have while you have it, you know. That could be, you know, extending your time, relishing it. I think, though, considering what it is that we're looking at here, either things did not turn out well for you, or perhaps you had a sense that they wouldn't, or you have a sense that that's where things are going. Yeah, it's really difficult to tell the way that I sort of ended this at 6, just based on the energy that I was getting. I was not getting a read that this right here is chronological. It just doesn't hit me that way. And I think we're gonna have to do some clarifying cards. I'll do that before we even go much further on this. Right next to this Four of Cups, emotionally holding on, is we've got the Four of Pentacles, which is holding on to what you have. So this could be your sense of self, your ego, your attachments, the things that you identify with. So whether this is refusing to accept change in your external situation, your external realities, you know, this could be you know, getting into a car crash and not being able to afford the same nice car that you were driving, and not wanting to accept that you are no longer a Pathfinder driver and now you are a I'm not gonna pick another car, but I think you know what I mean. This could be that you've taken a hit in your career. It could mean that you've taken a hit in other kind of lifestyle. It could mean that that you've worked really hard to get where you are and you're just simply afraid of losing it. It could mean that you feel people around you are losing things and you just don't want that to be a possibility. So essentially you are just holding. So I see holding emotions, holding on to things, holding on to self-concepts. This is a very inward focused place that you're at, and that's okay. We need to be like that sometimes, but what we want to move through as quickly as possible, and we're going to pull some advice on this right now, is how to get past this kind of turmoil, this level of struggle with moving on emotionally. Let's do that right now. Let's see what's going on here. I don't know if this is a person. I don't know if this is a situation. I don't know, you know, if you're driving, you know, Great Aunt Bertha's Buick or what. You know, I hope it's that easy for you. Let's see what I can pull for you. What kinds of cards do we want to use? Yeah, these are tough. This is a tough situation. Very emotional. You know, I'm gonna go for something brighter. I'm gonna go for the Mystic Mondays Tarot set. I've already done some good shuffling with these, so they're ready for you. The Healing Light deck that I used was not integrated with reverse cards, but I like using the Mystic Mondays with reversals. I think because this deck uses abstract art, that the reversals also provide that additional level of meaning that can be helpful. Boy, I am just not shuffling it today. It's good because I like to pre-shuffle, so I can just do a little bit here. Right. What's going on with this inability to move? Well, of course, the Chariot. Okay, not accepting death. Okay. You're afraid. Okay. So, concomitantly with not being able to move on emotionally, we have not making decisions and not staying with them and not moving forward, right? This is the Chariot in reverse. We have the Death card, which means there was an end to something that you were not accepting. You're just not accepting it. There's an end. That means there's an opportunity for transition, and you're just simply not accepting it. But what this does is it clarifies that what it is it's something that's here, based on reality on Earth. It is something that you are attached to. Now, it could be a person, but I'm thinking it is really much more physical. It's something that you brought into creation yourself. This is something that you've been working hard on or were expecting to come to fruition, and it didn't. And this is your fear. With the Seven of Pentacles, the whole idea is that you've been working hard, throughout the minor arcana of the Pentacles. You're working hard to make something come to fruition, and the Seven of Pentacles is really getting to that point in the journey where you're expectant. But upside down, you've lost that expectancy. You're not accepting it. The real problem is you just can't find a way to go forward. You just can't find a way. It's there, but you're just too upset. You're too upset to pick your head up and look and see it. You feel it, but you're just not going to look. Right? You're refusing. You're literally emotionally regressing. And you're just holding on to what you have left. This could be someone who's just not doing well in school. You're going to have to drop classes and redo them. Your money's wasted. This could be someone who took a job and spent time in it, and it's just not working out. Maybe the entire career path isn't working out, and you just need to start over. And the most important thing to be thinking about is that it's not a failure. It's not changing who it is you are. Sure, it's changing what it is you said to people that you are or that you are becoming, but it's not changing you. It's changing your path. That's really what that's about. This is about changing your path. If for someone, the only thing that they've got going on that they are refusing to accept, the only thing that died, that they're not allowing new beginnings in, is a connection with someone, I'm really sorry. I know what that's like. I do. But I can tell you about this fear that everything that you put into the relationship has been for nothing, is not true. Because the place that we learn the most about ourselves is the way that we interact with other people, the way that they treat us and the way that we treat them, mostly the way that we behave. Our behavior doesn't have to reflect us, because it is never us in a vacuum. Our behavior when we are alone isn't actually us in a vacuum. It's us deprived of interpersonal opportunities, and us interrelating out there in the world and society and groups, or out there with just one other person, is not us in a vacuum. It's us with that other person, what that other person is working with, working through, bringing to the table, how they see us, how they wanted to be seen, how they thought that they could get treated with the way that they go about doing things or went about things with us. And just as much as you had hope to be treated the way you wanted to be treated, and things didn't work out, they had the same thing. And just because you couldn't get what you wanted doesn't mean that they got what they wanted. Nobody goes into something planning an end. I can tell you that much. So this concern right here, that what you did didn't create anything, didn't produce anything, and it's for naught. Especially with relationships, I can tell you that's not true. And you can hold on to what you have, the pieces of your identity. Maybe you feel like it's only 4 when you thought you had 7. And I hope you pick those 4 that best represent you. Best represent who you are, and the parts of yourself that you feel the most comfortable with. I hope those parts are not things like loneliness, things like frustration. I hope that those things are the things that drew you to the other person in the first place. Laughter, other expressions of humanity, love. And I hope you regrow these. I hope these are the things that you regrow. So the next time you see this card, and it looks like this, you'll know that these pentacles are here at the top of this tree. So let's get down here to this this line of swords. And I'm glad that we're at swords at this point. We're past this heavy stuff of emotions and things in physical space, because that's really tough. I like swords because you can really work with swords. Swords are ideas and communication, and while they can get you down, you can change them very quickly. You can change your own mind, you can change your own opinions, you can change communication, the way that you are communicating. You can't change others that easily, but you can work with your own very well. So this 9 of Swords, of course, means that whatever is happening really has you down. And again, with the swords, it's the concept, right? You can, out of all of the negative cards out there, you can flip this one the fastest, because these are ideas. In many of the other tarot sets, the 9 of Swords is being stabbed in the back. His head is down here. I don't think you were stabbed in the back. I really think that whatever happened just came to be that way. I see this angel is chained to a wall. I think that's where you're at. I really do. I think you just feel chained. There's some new beginning that you're not accepting. You feel like you can't. That's it. You feel like you can't, right? You can't look up. You just can't do it. I think you can. And I think you can do it by changing whatever is happening here. We can talk a little bit more how when we explore what it is. I just want to look at these other 2 cards real quick. Just got the 8. Okay. So this is more about making decisions, which is good. That's how we can get to here. And the King of Swords. Fantastic. mean, this tells me that something is in charge. I'm not going to say it's you. This is the month of miracles. And if anyone in the month of miracles is in charge, we're going to say that is, that's God. However you want to think about God. It can be presence. It can be nature. It can be your own intuition. It can be that small, still voice. It can be nothing. But the King of Swords is where the ideas come from. This is the ideas that get carried out. We need to explore these further. Join me on Vimeo.